Some viewers may find this disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hi my loves, it's Destin Choice and you're watching Choice TV. For today's video, I wanted to get on here and talk about the fact that a lot of young girls are groomed in the entertainment industry, and the fact that many of us don't oftentimes talk about it because to us, we just desensitize it with just being normal. Now, growing up, I used to always see a lot of young girls when I was in middle school, high school, talk to men that were in their early 20s, mid 20s, and sometimes even in their 30s. And I say this because a lot of those girls thought that they were the shit growing up because they thought, oh my God, like this older man wants me over these older girls. I must really be the shit.
Until you discover the magic word and you understand and learn what the word grooming was. So prevalent, so well seen, even in our own personal lives, and then you see it on our screens to the point where we normalize this shit in our personal life.
What inspired this video is I've been really going down memory lane lately, and I've seen that a lot of girls in the entertainment industry have really been groomed. You know, when you think about the Aaliyah situation and how she was groomed by R. Kelly because her dumbass parents essentially, you know, sent her off to go be with R. Kelly and, yeah, make her a star. And then she ended up being horribly traumatized. I mean, yeah, she did become a big star, and R. Kelly does play a role in that. But she was essentially traumatized and essentially just, whatever, let's forget about it. Who cares? The music is still good. But we never really talk about the lasting effects that could have on a young woman like Aaliyah when she was alive, or many young girls. But I really want to get on here and go down memory lane, mostly because I remember I was watching this one clip of Ruby Rose, where if y'all didn't know, Ruby Rose did a interview with DJ Vlad many years ago. And when she did this interview, she had to be about maybe 20-something years old, in her early 20s. And essentially, in this interview, DJ Vlad basically asked her about all the people she was rumored to have dated.
Well, because there are rumors about you and various famous men. I'm going to name a few.
Okay, I'll tell you which
one. You could react.
Okay.
Cam Newton.
That one was weird. No, never. I've never even met him. Talked to him, nothing.
Travis Scott.
When I was younger. Oh wait, actually I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't do this game. I shouldn't do this game.
I just got a few more names.
Should I do this game? Oh wait, let me see. Because I'm going to take the ones that are not true.
When you were younger. 21 Savage.
When I was younger. Oh wait, how many more are left?
No, that's it.
Okay, cool. Good.
All right.
That wasn't bad.
So you admitted to two of them. Travis Scott and 21 Savage when you were younger. Okay. It's not too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the midst of me even watching that clip, I immediately came across this video where Bad Baby, if you guys didn't know, the Cash Me Outside girl who we all know for making rap music, she basically did an interview with Ari on Ari's cooking show. And on Ari's cooking show, Ari asked her about the dudes that she's dealt with in her past.
So, you used to date Sosa. What was that like? I'm asking because he's from Chicago.
I wouldn't call it, we wasn't like me and Levine. Like, I just used to go over there and hang out, get fucked, hang out. I'm a real ass bitch. Like, you know, that's what it is. I remember one time he was like, I can't have any bitch over here, but I still call you over here. And I was like, oh, you been having every bitch over here? Like, I was like sick. No,
yeah.
I took it personal because I was young. So I was like, oh, you been having bitches over here?
And you notice a pattern here? You notice how Aaliyah protected R. Kelly by never really saying anything? You notice how even Bad Baby tried to protect Chief Keef by not saying anything? And you notice how even Ruby Rose was trying to protect those guys, you know, and didn't even say anything? It's because a lot of times they know what they're doing is wrong. And a lot of times these older guys even put it in their head, you're young, you know, you should keep this between us. Keep this between us. And I'm bringing this up because I remember this was an episode of Soul Food. You know what I mean? Like, if y'all are even old enough to remember the show Soul Food, they did an episode on how a lot of times groomers would make these young, pretty, and impressionable girls feel special. So special to the point where they make them think, you know, you're my little secret, you know, you're to be protected. And it's crazy how even in adulthood, these girls are still protecting these grown men. Meanwhile, I'm sure they're still talking to young girls to this day. Or that's just my assumption.
But what I also want to talk about, even Willow Smith. You remember Willow Smith when she had her whole era of being one of the biggest pop stars in the world? She was a young black girl pop star. People adored her, and she had that Whip Your Hair song that pretty much blew up the charts. And people thought that she was going to be a really, really big star, and she never really hit that pinnacle many of us expected her to hit. But what's interesting is she kind of went through her over-sexualized phase, where a lot of girls who, once they get to a certain age and start blossoming and going through puberty,
And y'all remember that photo of Moises Arias and Willow Smith laid up in the bed together? Mind you, he was 20 years old and she was approximately 12 years old. And this photo stirred a lot of controversy because she's a little girl in the bed with a grown man wrapped up in a blanket. And people sexualized it and automatically deemed it as something inappropriate, which to this day, I still kind of side-eye it, even though she has addressed it years later and made it very clear that there was nothing going on. But Child Protective Services had to step in, and of course they had to investigate it, which of course we did find out there was no evidence of anything.
Doesn't matter whether or not they're in a relationship, they're seeing a 13-year-old little girl in bed with a 20-year-old man. They see that and that's normal to them. They're going to start copying those behaviors. So that's why we have to, be upset about these images coming out, whether or not we know the relationship.
Let me though tell you, Jada Pinkett Smith addressed the controversy with paparazzi. Here's what she said to them. There's nothing sexual about that picture or that situation. You guys are projecting your trash onto it. You're acting like covert pedophile. That is not cool.
She better
and
get it
Denise,
together.
No, you guys, I kind of support her on this.
I'm a product of my profession, and so I see the seedy side of society, and so I'm far more protective of my kids than a lot of people are of theirs. So that's where I come.
But what about the era where this picture came out and she was going through her era of making explicit music? Y'all remember that Summer Fling song she made where she had that really ugly wig on and she was talking about getting loved on all night and all types of weird shit in that song? Summer Flings. Imagine your 13-year-old talking about having a summer fling. Now, to have a song about that is one thing, but again, we all know what summer fling really means. Then let's talk about the fact that she was involved in the Free the Nipple movement, where basically she wore a very inappropriate shirt. Clearly, it's a shirt, and clearly it's not her, but for her to wear that at, 14 years old, and her parents greenlit it and allowed her to just post that kind of stuff, it almost lets you think, who was around her encouraging this kind of behavior? And to this day, her parents still somewhat try to justify it, where basically Willow went on the Red Table Talk with her grandmother and her mother, and she discussed how a lot of people tried to over-sexualize her and make things out to be what they weren't when she addressed a photo where she was lying in the bed with a 20-year-old man.
Celebrities, females who aren't black, who are younger, and who do post things that are way more sexual than that.
Get away with it.
They don't get any backlash.
She unfortunately missed the point even after all these years. It's not the point of people are going to over-sexualize her just because of her race. It's the mere fact that this kind of behavior was clearly encouraged. But the question is, by whom? A lot of that is grown women activity, and some of the stuff she was doing was not appropriate for a 12 or 13-year-old, Hollywood entertainer or not.
Then we can talk about the Courtney Stodden situation. If y'all didn't know, Courtney Stodden was a 16-year-old girl, teenage girl who was really popular back in the late 2010s, and she was a pageant girl. She traveled the world as a model, and then eventually she started dating a popular actor, Doug Hudson.
And this is where it goes even deeper. A lot of young girls who break into the modeling industry, they usually are around a lot of older, creepy predators. And these creepy older men will prey on them. And that's why it's important to really watch and protect your children. So she was 16 years old. Yeah, you heard that right. And he was 50.
What do you say to that, to people who think this is all a publicity stunt?
We knew this was going to happen. We knew we were going to have to weather the repercussions of our decision and our union. And this is just the beginning. And it brought us closer together.
Do you think marrying Doug will help your career?
If it does, that's just another beautiful blessing that God hands to me. But if I'm just with him for the rest of my life and supporting him, that would make me happy.
We both knew, and we talked about this when we started.
Just give me your gut. You know why. Come on.
Yes.
16 and 50.
Yes.
Gets a little gross.
It's not gross to us.
To you, I understand. But you understand people reacting to it. That's their reaction.
I suppose in the West, in our Western culture, yeah. Here's what's interesting is the question is, and we can ask everyone can ask ourselves this: why? Why is it wrong? Why is it wrong? Or why is it offensive? Or why is it?
So let me ask the question that a lot of people must wonder: why not wait till later to get married?
Because, we're not guaranteed tomorrow, and I'm not a fearful person at all.
Why didn't you guys just date and become soulmates and date?
Because
why right
that's
to marriage?
dangerous. If we dated,
there's an age
he could
problem.
get put in jail.
You would think Courtney Stodden would, speak up and say something about this, but she seemed like she was with it and intertwined by it. And people kind of shamed her and called her fast, and she's a fast little girl, and she's just such a spoiled little Paris Hilton and much more. But what's so interesting about this is recently, last month, she finally did an interview addressing the situation between her and her ex-husband, Doug Hudson, who if y'all didn't know, her and Doug Hudson are no longer together and are no longer married. The reason why they were even able to get married in the first place was because her parents allowed them to get married. Because in some states, with parental consent, your teenage daughter can actually get married to a grown-ass man in his 50s.
It's people are welcome to their opinions. That's what the world is about.
It was Courtney's first television interview.
But fun fact, her mother was actually her manager. And on top of her mother being her manager, her mother was encouraging her to get cosmetic surgeries, like getting her boobs done, getting her body done as a teenager. Her mom was funding these things. On top of that, her mom was encouraging her to be more and more famous because her mom herself wanted to be a famous superstar but never got to do it. So she projected it onto her daughter, Courtney.
I used to manage my daughter, and I was her momager.
My mom definitely has ambitions to be famous. She's crazy for fame. Crazy for fame, and she wants it, and she will stop at nothing to get it.
She doesn't appreciate all the things I've done for her. She doesn't understand the sacrifices that I've made.
Courtney has done extensive interviews for years saying how disgusted she is. The fact that people around her encouraged her to be with a 50-year-old man just to pretty much elevate her career because he was a pretty popular actor back in the 90s. And what's even worse about this, Courtney has even discussed that she was even locked in a conservatorship where her parents and her husband essentially controlled her entire life because she was 16 years old. Courtney is now 30 years old, and oh my God, she has a lot to say about how predatory the industry was.
During your marriage to Doug, you felt like you were in a conservatorship in some ways.
I was married into a conservatorship. That's how it completely felt. I mean, I couldn't sign my name on anything. I couldn't sign a legal document. I couldn't really leave the house by myself.
Sickly, I didn't realize that he was into minors. So I wanted to look older. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that's the sickness in a predator's mind. Like, they prey on that. You know, when you're a child, you have a really low self-esteem, obviously, especially put in that position. So that day for me was very out of body. It was just too much for me to process. It was an ongoing realization because I was coming from a child perspective. Children don't necessarily have the our brains aren't developed yet. We don't really know what's happening to us, but we feel things. And I could always feel that something wasn't right. I would cry myself to sleep with a bottle of wine almost every night at 17 years old. That's not right.
When you look back on that, what goes through your mind?
If I could, I would go bust down that door mid-interview, grab her, and give her a hug.
I'm having a delayed reaction from what the world was like digesting currently, because I wasn't even old enough to digest the marriage. Of course. My mind wasn't, developed yet. So my mind developed around this life. And so now I'm like, holy shit.
And was it normal to you, or were you like, this is a freak show?
Crazy. I mean, now it looks like it was a bit of a freak show. I
know what you're saying.
I still love Doug. Doug still loves me. I mean, we still talk. Like,
wow,
we're
really?
trying to figure out some sort of balance with each other.
How does that work, though?
We have no idea how it's working.
So y'all heard that correctly. Out of all the trauma she endured, she more so has a problem with the fact that her parents sent her off to this grown man, but she still sees herself aligned with this grown man to where, oh, we're still cool to this day. So you see how a lot of young girls always just have this allegiance to men that groom them and men that are much older than them?
That girl was definitely groomed. And it's a shame that a lot of us kind of just dust it off and we forget about weird, creepy Hollywood stories like that. You know, and the list goes on and on and on. And if I made a longer video about this video would be like 2 hours.
Because the list really does go on and on. Let's not forget about the Prince and Maite situation, where her parents literally sent her off to 32-year-old Prince to go be a dancer and a performer, and Prince admired the fact that she was a virgin. And then they ended up getting married and never did anything until she was 18, apparently. And then let's also talk about the Foxy Brown. And you know what? Let's save that for another video. If you guys want a part 2, please be sure to let me know if you guys want a part 2, because there's a lot more stories and a lot more things that a lot of millennials and people who grew up in the 90s and 80s normalized that we could talk about in one video. And in the meantime, if you're a parent who oftentimes like to monitor your child's phone, please be wary of a lot of apps where a lot of your children could be messaging people online and not even really know that they could be messaging predators.
But it looks like a standard calculator. In fact, it is the standard calculator. But when you enter the secret password that your child created and you hit the % key, now you have a photo album. Now there's pictures hidden in here that your child didn't want you to see.
Apps like these becoming so popular, a county district attorney in Alabama sent out a warning to parents.
But please be sure to let me know what you guys thought about the entire breakdown. Like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, that's that. Choice out this bitch. Why don't we fall in love? It's so many reasons. It's the only thing that matters to me. It's so many reasons. It takes such a load off to let you know that you're the only one I will ever want to go. Think I never did know what to do. A love I never felt, now I feel for you. Why don't I just swallow each and every ounce of my pride? Everything you do, I want to feel again. Ain't no use for us to pretend, 'cause why can't we, why can't we, why can't we, why can't we fall in love?